Welcome once again to the Squared Circle Jerks recording. We are doing WWE NXT Takeover Chicago and also WWE Backlash from 2017, just in case someone is watching this in the far future and doesn't know what year we're talking about.
And I will be doing WCW. Oh, no, wait. That would be awkward.
That would be a little awkward. That would also be a gimmick infringement with the old school guys.
Possibly.
We are Mike, and my compatriot is Byron.
Hello.
And we once again like to thank Keith Shangley Roberts, aka Captain Mondo, for the graphics we're using. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and if I'm not, come beat me with a waffle iron. I don't know.
I can guarantee that you just effed that up in the beat.
Oh, probably. I'm fully willing to accept this, but I'd never heard him actually pronounce his name.
It's actually Smith. All of that is silent.
That would be interesting. Moving onwards to the NXT Takeover Chicago. The card opens up with Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. Would you like to take it away, Byron?
No.
That's a little rude to the fans.
I honestly don't remember a ton about this match. I really thought that they'd stick more to the whole sanity gang warfare thing and get involved constantly because it's Roderick Strong, and I thought you'd try and put him over that way. It worked for Ty Dillinger.
I would say they did plenty of it, to be honest. I mean, Roderick jumped them. Roderick jumped them at the beginning and did at various points fight 3-on-1. He got the victory. I thought they did really smart with the interference from Sanity when the referee wasn't like it was, interference that I could believe wouldn't get DQ'd, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, that was a good move.
If you wanted to go the typical Sanity beatdown route, it would have been a DQ victory for Roderick, which I don't think it would have had the same effect.
No, not at all. That's what I kind of was a bit mystified as to why they were doing this match in the first place, why they started this angle. I guess they had to have somebody for Sanity to target, and you might as well have the new guy that you gave all the promo vignettes to fight uphill against a bunch of people. I remember, honestly, I don't remember any particular spots in this match. I just remember it being a good match, and that was probably a good way to start off the Takeover special. That was about all I remember.
I find a much higher. Admittedly, a lot of people seem to be with you in that they weren't very high on this match. I liked it. I really did. There was some.
You watched it like 5 minutes ago.
There was some nice variety of offense from both men. They really did show off a very deep repertoire, which I really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. I do admittedly feel, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, that maybe putting Roderick Strong with Bobby Roode might have been the better idea just for a match quality standpoint. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it. I really did. They did a good job of using the numbers, but not overusing the numbers, I thought. They let Eric Young appear reasonably strong, even in defeat. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I will say is the fact that Roderick won this match means I don't really know where you would go with this feud from this point onwards. Like, is this the blow-off?
I can't see how. I mean, this is their first match.
That's kind of what I mean. But like, you had a fair amount of interference, and you had Roddy winning pseudo 1v3. I don't know. Like, where's the draw of a next match?
I don't know. I would assume that they'll just do the whole Sanity thing again, and they'll have him get attacked repeatedly until he's beat the shit out of all of them, I guess. I don't really know.
I suppose. Anyways, so maybe not the cleanest booking, but I really liked it. I really thought it started the night off on a positive note, and for the most part, it continued that note. After that, we had Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate. Would you like to ooze over this match for a little bit?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was probably the best worked match in WWE since Nakamura versus Zayn, with the possible exception of a couple of the AJ Styles John Cena matches. And I'm kind of not counting most NXT, like the DIY triple threat match off the last Takeover. Was it the last one or the one before?
I believe it was the last one.
Yeah, that one was fan-goddamn-tastic. Most things that the Revival and DIY are involved with are always awesome. So that's kind of just a constant level of awesome in the background. But on an individual match-by-match basis, I thought this one in WWE was probably the best one of the year so far.
Is there something going in your background right now?
Yeah, there's people that live upstairs.
Oh, okay. So there's not really anything we can do about that.
Not at all.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing it out, though.
Well, believe me, I believe the people would have noticed. So I mean, I really enjoyed the match, but I think it's kind of an irony. I think I'm less appreciative of this match than people are in general, and I was more appreciative of Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. But it was a fantastic match. It did have a little bit of what I like to call over finisher to it.
A little bit, but
a little
I
bit,
appreciated the fact that they were able to chain together so many different moves, and they were able to do a lot of really good storytelling throughout the match, including and I think one of the highlights, oddly enough, is when they just broke down and went toe to toe, slugging it out, like almost legit slugging it out in the middle of the ring. I thought that was a damn fine addition to the match, which kind of brought you to a whole different place in the overall theme of that particular match.
I will say, helping out with the over finisheritis that I usually don't like is the fact that since this was a UK title match, and we don't see a lot of them, you can get away with a lot more in terms of the finishers with the story of this is a massive deal, and so that helped make up for it, and it was also really well done. I think Tyler Bate is going to be absolutely fantastic in about 5 years. Like he's already fantastic, but you give him some more life experience, you give him some more wrestling experience. That guy is he's going to be absolutely amazing. Like a once in a generation talent, quite possibly, as he gets better. I did love the triangle spot, which Bate managed to powerbomb his way out of. One thing was Dunn's punches from bottom didn't look great. Like they're like, and he's really laying in with the punches, and I'm like, this is clearly not making contact. But
yeah, the punches weren't great. But I thought the elbows were really well worked. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can see what he's doing. But if you don't, if you're just a wrestling fan and you're not a mixed martial arts fan, then those look pretty legit.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Is I kind of wonder if he maybe switched over to the elbows, realizing the punches weren't really looking all that great. But yeah, from the elbows onwards, that was fantastic. You get the power bomb escape from it. Yeah, just a really awesome match. Great train wrestling, great chaining things just together, working in a little bit of hard, brutal striking into the mix, submission grappling, a little bit of MMA stuff. Really had a lot of different things done very well with very solid psychology and great work as a heel from Pete Dunne to break the rules without breaking the rules. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I kind of expected him to start biting the fingers when he was doing the bendy back finger action.
That would have been kind of interesting.
It's something he's done on the indie scene. I've seen him do it a couple times. And if he's really into it, he'll actually take the mouthpiece out and just go like full on teeth to the fingers.
Delicious finger meat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. This was a really good three-way. They managed to work things very well. Like the timing was absolutely great. Yes. It never seemed like one of the ladies was outside of the ring for too long recovering. You get that in sometimes, especially with like fatal 4-way matches, I think are probably the worst offender of this. Although we have a fatal 5-way coming up, so that might also be a problem. But where someone just disappears for so long that you don't really believe they're recovering anymore. It's like, are you taking a nap out there? At no point in this match was there that. There was some great multi-lady moves. The like Nikki Cross breaking up pins with splashes was pretty good. The desperation that she particularly conveyed, because frankly she's really good at playing desperation and somewhat craziness at the same time. And also just hatred towards specifically Ruby Riott was very evident in everything she was doing. Was really good. And there was also the splash / elbow spot to break up the pin or to break up the submission. That was really good. Fantastic work. I really developed a much bigger appreciation for Nikki Cross than I had before. And it did improve my opinion of Ruby Riott, although I'm probably not on the same page as some people because there's a lot of hype for her that I'm not quite buying into. But and Asuka's of course great.
The one thing I can say for Ruby Riott is she definitely brings something else to the table that I'm not seeing in anybody else. So that's good. The other thing is, twice in that match, she had a couple of oh shit moments where she literally, like, I bought into it that I don't know if something wasn't quite right in the match, or if something was happening unexpectedly, or if she just sold like a champ. Because if she's selling like a champ, I bought it both times. There was one time when she was going to go across the ring, and I think she was going to do like a double knee to Asuka in the corner, and Nikki Cross caught her blindsided her, but you could see that she saw it coming in the last like second, but couldn't move because she was already, or couldn't do anything about it because she was already up at speed, and it was like, oh shit, and got taken out. And then once right at the end, at the finish, she saw Asuka coming and tried to roll out of the way, but obviously didn't do it in time and got plowed. And there was another kind of oh fuck, and then stuff happened. So there were a couple of times that if that's her selling those spots, fantastic. And yeah, she just has a different kind of moveset and a different attitude than basically everybody else in the roster. So she kind of stands out.
That's a fair point. I mean, she definitely stands out. That I wouldn't remotely question. It's just, man, I'm looking for more because I do want to see it. This is not like you guys are wrong and she's not really all that good. No, it's just I want to see what it is. I'm just seemingly missing something. A little bit of an X factor.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like, to me, that X factor is right there. I don't have any problem seeing it. So I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe that'll roll it in. It is a bit disappointing that Asuka won this match because if this was a way to take the belt off of her and get her to the main roster without her per se losing, because you could have done, I probably would have done Nikki Cross pinning Ruby Riott, then you have Sandy controlling the belt. Typical heel faction stuff, and you can work with that.
Yeah.
Then you can send her to the main roster where she could be definitely needed because the women's roster, when you split it between Raw and SmackDown, it's not that deep. Like before the brand split, this was one of the deeper women's rosters ever. But when they split it, you kind of realized it really wasn't that deep.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's a little bit disappointing. Then we have Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami. This was, I think, in that regard, like that in itself sells the card. That
pretty much, yeah.
That,
I was
yeah.
At this point, after seeing Roderick Strong, Eric Young, which I thought was pretty darn good, but honestly, it didn't really. At the time I was watching it, I remember having that feeling, but now I just don't remember anything about the match, and I didn't write anything down. And then Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate, which I thought was fan-goddamn-tastic. And then following that up with, you know what, if you would have put the female triple threat match on a different card, that match would shine way above and beyond anything else. But it just happened that you followed one really good match and one excellent match. And then you followed it up with a near excellent match, and then you've got Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami, and it just wasn't as good. It just the work was there, the timing wasn't wrong. I just can't put my finger on why it wasn't that good.
I think it's to a degree just a stylistic thing, almost like in MMA where you can put two fighters together and they become greater than the sum of their parts. This was not. Mm-hmm. This was the opposite, where these two guys are fantastic workers, and they went out there and they had an okay match by their standards, but it wasn't great because this was not the perfect dance partner.
No, I think you know what it is, and we were talking about this. We've been talking about wrestling for the last 18 hours straight. Me, has recorded none of it. That's not part of that's true.
Part of it's true, not the 18 hours part.
I think I kind of maybe I have an inkling here with Rude, because he had those kind of matches against Nakamura, and we'll talk about Nakamura later. But I think he's afraid to get hit because he didn't really do stuff with Nakamura, and Nakamura's thing is strikes. That's what he does. And Kenta, known as a stiff kicker and a good striker, and he uses the go to sleep, which he invented. And Bobby doesn't want to take those strikes. So the crowd's not getting what they want. I'm not quite getting what I want. It was an all right match. I would give it, in and around. You can add or subtract, but in and around, a 2.5 to 3 star level. It was all right. Maybe 2.5, but it's not what I expect out of an NXT Championship match. That's not what I'd expect, especially not out of Kenta and Bobby Roode.
It's kind of why I would have done Roderick Strong beating Hideo Itami to set up this match, because I think Strong versus Rude, that's a fantastic match, because you may be onto something with Bobby Roode being not particularly fond of getting hit. I can't point to a match where I can kind of rebut that argument. And that might be a big part of it. And with Roderick Strong, you'd have a lot more options with backbreakers and suplexes and just kind of less
standard North American stuff.
Yeah, more high-paced kind of chain wrestling stuff as opposed to the Japanese strong style, which would probably have helped the match a little bit. I'm a big Kenta mark. I just feel that this was a less than ideal spot for him. I mean, obviously going for the title is a big deal, but just the combination, I think, fell flat a little bit.
Well, combined with the fact that Roderick Strong versus Itami was a great match, and then I expect, if that's what Roderick Strong and Itami can do, how good is it going to be against the champion? I always, if you're going to, maybe I've watched too much mixed martial arts, but the champion's got to be the best guy. Whether it's the best at, right now Roderick Strong's the best on the mic, he's best on promos, he's best doing things like that. He's not necessarily the best in the ring, but I expect that if you're putting somebody in the ring with him, he will have the best match, because he is the champion, and I didn't get that.
Fair enough. I think it's a little unfair to think of that way, just because this is wrestling as opposed to MMA.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's where my MMA trained brain comes into things. Like, the top guy is the top guy. The best in the world holds the title, period. And if you can't go in the ring, there's got to be a reason for it, and you got to sell me on that reason during that match. Like, if they put, for instance, if your boy Enzo gets the title, and he and you, we were talking about this for about 5.5 hours, straight hours. And, he's not the best in the ring. Well, there's got to be a reason why he's the champion. And whether he's a cowardly heel or a crafty face or a crafty cowardly heel or however you want to play it, he's got to have a reason to hold on to that title. That's something that Kevin Owens does extremely well. That's the reason why he's been able to hold gold for the past, over a year? He's pretty much constantly had a title on his waist?
Pretty well, between the U.S. title and the Universal title.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you put a guy in the ring, I don't know. I'll just keep harping on the same point over and over and over again. But this just wasn't what... If NXT is supposed to have the best wrestling, and it does, in the WWE universe, between 205 Live and NXT, you have the best wrestling. So when I see a championship match for NXT, it's like a championship match for ECW. I expect the best. And oftentimes, I get the best. And when you have a match like this, it's just not the best.
Mm-hmm. Then we had the tag team title match, Authors of Pain versus DIY. I really enjoyed it. These two teams have specifically DIY more because they're the seasoned veterans to a degree, been around a long time, both in developmental and during their indie stints. They work phenomenally well together. They're really good also singles, which, spoiler alert, appears to be the direction we're going. Um,
Spoilers.
Yeah, but we had a lot of good ladder spots with some good stuff into the ladders. Nothing terribly repetitive. Paul Ellering got involved by knocking the ladder down and then getting super kicked by, I'm pretty sure it was Gargano.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I believe I'm correct on that. And then put out. But the Authors of Pain have come a tremendously long way, and if the WWE would take tag team wrestling seriously on the whole, they could be something very, very special in WWE. And if not, in Japan.
Just as a point of interest, Authors of Pain have only been a tag team since last June.
Yeah, they've not been together very long, and I believe they weren't really much into wrestling before that.
No. Which one is it? Akam, or which one's the Albanian? Razar, I think.
Razar.
AKA the Albanian psychopath, was a mixed martial artist, actually, with a record of 4-2. With a fight in Bellator, Bama, and Bosnian Fight Championship.
a strong promotion, I assure.
Indeed.
But they did some great stuff. I mean, they're a power-based team, which makes it to a degree somewhat easier, because I think it's always been said you kind of, like, people have always had the theory you got to be big to be good in this business, but to me, that's not true. But being big is in itself an asset, because you can get away with being a little less technical, a little less good at some of the things, and just kind of impressive with brute force. And these guys do a lot of the little things right, considering how green they are, and they also have that power. It's pretty fantastic.
They sell, and I think this goes towards. We were talking about Paul Ellering as well, and I realize that he has largely mastered the psychology of working a match, but I think he's a little overhyped as far as his legendary status is concerned. But honestly, having him around those two guys has immeasurably helped them. And he's able to dictate the pace of a match, and putting them in the ring with DIY, which are massively accomplished indie guys, and the Revival, who I'm not really 100% on their credentials, but I know that they have been indie guys before they went to the Performance Center. I mean, you're talking about 4 of the best workers. I would put probably all 4 of them in terms of working a match, probably top 10 in the WWE right now. And having the Authors of Pain do a program with those 4 guys plus Paul Ellering, you're going to have a team that can either go for a long time, or until Vince gets bored and jobs them out to Tyler Breeze in half a body cast for no reason. Also, Akam is from Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada.
Ah, another Canadian that I wasn't even aware.
Went to Simon Fraser University.
So, generally speaking, good stuff here. At the end, they win with the, to be honest, a slightly weak double team finishing move of the Super Collider, where they just basically pick him up and power bomb, and then smack him together, and then power bomb him again.
I will say that this particular Super Collider was pretty good. Like, that's probably the best Super Collider I've seen him hit.
I would agree with that. I mean, they're getting better at the move. I just think that the move itself makes for not the greatest of finishers.
Yeah, well, I think the danger is that they don't want to clash the back of the guys' heads. So what they need to do is both of them need to slightly angle their dude to the left, so they kind of crisscross, and then they can smash him together with the big meaty back sound, and then powerbomb him.
That would work pretty well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after the match, Ciampa turned our Gargano and beat the living hell out of him.
Psycho killer. Psycho killer.
This has been a kind of a slow burn turn.
You're just inventing things. You didn't know this was going to happen.
I did not. I didn't actually know. No, this. I was surprised when it happened. there's enough that at any time Ciampa could have turned and it would have been kind of to a degree justified.
He is the psycho killer.
Indeed.
But there was the only reason I had an inkling that something was up was because again, WrestleTalk, Ollie Davis reported that there was some shenanigans on a house show, and that the whole match might be canceled because Ciampa got hurt to the point where
his ankle.
Yeah, to the point where he told one of the officials, "Get me the F out of here right now." And apparently, the only inkling that it was a work was that Gargano reportedly, looked very confused as to what the hell was going on and was left alone in the ring against whoever the fuck he was wrestling. And there was some speculation that if they don't call the match off, it could be a work, and therefore they could be breaking up the tag team. So I knew about that, but I didn't think that the WWE would do it now. Not when they don't have enough tag teams in NXT.
Yeah, we were discussing that. We don't really know where the authors of pain go from here in terms of a really solid program.
Yarp.
But a really solid card all around with, I mean, again, when Rude and Itami is your worst match, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Narp.
So then we're on to WWE Backlash. Do we have anything we really want to say about the pre-show?
Eric Rowan was awesome in his non-verbal segments, because he would just wander onto the pre-show board, and he wandered on with his llama mask painted up like the Violator from Spawn. Fantastic. I marked out for that. And then he wandered, I can't remember what he did. He just kind of wandered away. And then later on, I think about like 10 or 15 minutes later, he came back and he had a sack full of masks. And he took one out that looked like a party elephant mask, and he looked disgusted and started tearing it up. And Pete Rosenthal Bergstein was like, "No, you don't want that one. You don't want that one." Trying to get on his good side. And then he pulled out his regular llama mask and it seemed to have like fake red hair tied to it. And so he kind of took it off and was kind of playing with it. And I think he brushed it on Pete Rosenberg. And then he, what did he do? Oh, he grabbed the pocket square out of Rosenberg's pocket and tried to tie it around the hair on his mask. And then I can't really describe it. He had this another like brief disgust, like, of course not. But he doesn't say anything out loud. Like, it was fantastic. It was just like, and then threw the pocket square on the ground rather than giving it back. And then just kind of put the mask back. And I think, did he put it on? I can't remember if he put it on or if he put it back in the bag.
I think he put it back in the bag.
And then just wandered off. I'm thinking about tracking down that spot again from the pre-show just to watch that. Because it was just the way he was doing things, and just his general non-verbal way of doing things was great. I really enjoyed that.
I do enjoy his just body language in general, and I always have. I thought that was one of the strengths he had in the Wyatt family, was his ability to communicate without saying anything. His working is okay. We'll get more into that. And his promos are okay, but the body language is honestly absolutely fantastic.
Exactly. And on the pre-show, we had Ty Dillinger versus
Aiden English, the surviving vaudevillain.
I have notes.
Okay.
I thought it was a really great start to English's new gimmick, because he's kind of doing it like a Hollywood Broadway type scenario.
It's actually his old gimmick from NXT.
Well, whatever. He's really good at bringing it back then. Again, not familiar with his work in NXT. Ty Dillinger still has the crowd entirely in his pocket. I don't care what anybody else's opinion on him is. You have to push this guy. He's got the whole crowd in his pocket. You can do anything.
Got the whole crowd in his pants.
You couldn't do anything with this dude, and you're gonna have people that are gonna go crazy. Anything. Also, they went to commercial in the middle of this match.
Which is never a good thing. Pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, this is, if, memory serves, this is a live, you're getting it live on the network, the WWE network, right?
Correct.
Why is there a commercial in the middle of a match? Put a commercial in the middle of Booker T saying shucky ducky or whatever the fuck.
I would prefer if you just put a commercial over that entire thing. But yeah.
Exactly. You could make the whole pre-show commercials of nonsense with Eric Rowan wandering in and fucking around. Why would you have a commercial in the middle of a match? It's at this point you're setting the precedent. I expect you to go to commercial in the middle of your main event for no reason because it's a pay-per-view. So, yeah. I thought the match was pretty good overall. There was a spot where Aiden English started to have a minor breakdown because he couldn't get the win off of Dillinger, which was cool. And I think it would be really, really good if they kind of eventually made him vaguely hysterical. Like, he can't put him, if he would do like 2 or 3, maybe just 2 more matches against Dillinger, and he doesn't get the win, and he doesn't get the win, and he's just more and more kind of neurotic each and every time, and eventually he just has a total breakdown and starts attacking Dillinger nonstop, like crazy, and then you've got kind of a hot program on your hands.
Should be good because, I mean, you're not really going to have a hot program with Aiden English any other way at this point.
Yeah, and they're not doing anything with Dillinger, even though he's got the entire crowd in every single state.
Nope, hang on, your mic died.
No, it did not.
It did.
Okay, fine, fair enough. But, I mean, they're chanting him for when he's not even there. They chanted him when he wasn't even on the main roster.
This is true. Finding something to do with Ty Dillinger would be of the utmost importance, in my opinion, because
they brought him out at number 10.
You got to make
at the Rumble, and people lost their minds like the Beatles had shown up.
Pretty much.
Now, I will say that he's not the greatest worker in the ring, but it doesn't really matter if neither was Mick Foley, and Mick Foley is a great wrestler, not just because of the work in the ring.
Well, I would even use the current, we're going to talk about it later, but you have Jinder Mahal in a title program, and you've got Miz going for the Intercontinental title right now. It's like, he's not a great worker is not a reason to, it's not a reason for anything, frankly.
No, he's got great timing, he's got great instincts, he sells like $1 million, the crowd loves him. What the hell else? You got a problem with his haircut? Get over it.
Yeah. So Dillinger goes over, and I mean, obvious, expected, he had to go over. Then we get on to the actual pay-per-view with Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler. Was quite surprised to see this as the curtain jerk.
That was weird.
Because so much your promotion has been based around this match, and to have it this early was
he's on the poster.
A bit of a weird timing. I didn't think it was a bad thing necessarily, because I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. This is gonna start the night off hot. It's gonna get things going, and then it didn't.
Yeah, this really could have been the match that sparked the whole night. This could have set everything on fire all night. But yeah, you put the man on a poster. You don't let him wrestle until he's on the pay-per-view, and you have this match? Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of like 2 very different minds on this match, because for a long time I've been saying Dolph Ziggler needs to slow it down, act more like a heel when he's actually a heel, let things sink in, and he did a lot of that here, and it was the absolute wrong time to do that, because we needed something high energy and something that Nakamura could feed off of, and this was not it. This was not terrible, but this was not it.
Yeah, they really lost the crowd. I missed the first part of this match, and I had to go back and rewatch it later. As soon as the Dillinger match ended, I took off to go grab me a beverage at the 7-Eleven, which is a block away. I figured there were like 5 or about.
Okay, we're having a real problem with the audio here. Just ignore the obvious audio problem we had.
My internet had a rest hold. So yeah.
What are you on Orton broadband?
Yes. I was on. Actually, I was on Diggler. Or what's his name?
Ziggler.
There you go. I have written down here Diggler versus Nakamura. So the Dillinger match ends. I immediately get up to go get a Slurpee from the 7-Eleven, which is a block away, and then I'll have a Slurpee for like the rest of the evening. Hooray! I figured they'd do like 30 minutes of promos for no reason because they make people pay for that. And I come back and I've missed the first like 5 minutes of the match somehow. And so I went back and watched it again. When I watched it again, the entire stadium had started out by screaming for Nakamura like the Beatles had shown up. And they had a match that immediately went into rest holds. There was like two spots in the entire match where Nakamura was able to use his like creative striking ability. Maybe 3 if you don't count the finish, or if you do count the finish. And it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary to have this competitive match. You've hyped up the guy for a month on the main roster. I don't know how many people watch NXT and watch the regular, but you need to stop watching the regular and start watching NXT. Well, to a degree. But they've had a year of him kicking ass and taking names in NXT and having great matches. And they've had a month of hype behind this one match that they won't allow happen on regular TV. You had to pay to see it. And it was 2 stars. They entirely
two and a quarter maybe.
They totally, completely, 100% lost the crowd in the like within 5 minutes because they immediately went into rest hold, pause, keep them down, pause, rest hold, pause, flurry, pause, rest hold.
Like
pause.
on a kind of interesting storyline point of view, it was kind of interesting in the sense that Ziggler's trying to make it clear that Nakamura is overrated. I guess this is how you do that, but
oh yeah, he totally made him look overrated. That's, I mean, well done WWE. You proved the heel's point. He now looks like he's overrated.
Yeah, it did not start the night off well. That's for sure.
I mean,
trying to look at the bright side. This may be Ziggler starting to be willing to kind of change his style up and kind of tell a story and not go 100 miles an hour when 80 will do. But it was just really bad timing.
He had a couple moments where he was doing really interesting heel stuff. Like he had a little weird pelvis wiggle and just like fuck with the crowd. And he had, tune up the band for the Sweet Chin music, which, why is everybody stealing Shawn Michaels' thing? I don't get it. But, yeah, he had a couple of good real heel spots, but this was not the match. This was unacceptable, bottom line.
This was not the time to be trying something like that. This was the time to be full-on Ziggler on steroids. And, we didn't get it. And I was really looking forward to this match, and we didn't get it.
When they first announced that it was going to be, or when they first kind of put, the program together, and I was like, really, they're going to do Ziggler? You've got Sami Zayn, you've got AJ Styles. Please, for the love of God, do Zayn versus Nakamura 2. We need like a second to that trilogy. I will accept a 20-minute time limit draw. I need to see that match again. And then I started thinking about it, like, okay, well, Ziggler, he's a good worker. He has good matches. He drew a really good match or 2 or 3 out of Miz, which is difficult. And I could see this really working. This could be really good. This could be like a Shawn Michaels light versus Nakamura. This could be a thing. And this is just, like I said, this match was unacceptable. They didn't do it right. They did everything incorrectly.
It's like someone went out of their way to sabotage this match, to be honest. Yeah. And I don't get it. Don't get it. Because they put a lot of hype behind Nakamura just to not deliver in any way.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Moving on, we then had the Usos versus Breezango. Lead us in here, Byron, because you're more positive on this match than I am.
I had so much fun with this match. I enjoyed the shit out of it. I know that you have, and I'm gonna cold water Larson the whole thing. You have an issue with just because this. Now, is your issue that just because this is a title match?
To a degree, because it's a title match and because we're trying to establish Breezango as something more than a comedy tag team.
Okay. I don't think you need to establish them as anything more than a comedy tag team. It's fine to put the title on a comedy tag team. Look at the fucking New Day. That's all they are, is a comedy tag team. They happen to be able to wrestle. So can the Fashion Police. But they only need to wrestle when they need to wrestle. As far as this match is concerned, I thought it was great. I enjoyed the shit out of it. It's certainly a lot better than Diggler versus Nakajima there. I thought that...
How dare you insult the genius of the kick by calling it Nakajima?
I know. I keep wanting to... I can't come up with another name though. Every time I want to use like an alternate name for Nakamura, all that comes up is Nakajima, and I'm like, I can't do that because the genius of the kick is fucking great. I'll figure out another Japanese name. There's lots. I thought that. Well, my notes here. Let me stick to my notes because I wrote them down for a reason. Saxton Phillips at this point had been ripping on Bradshaw nonstop, which was great. And I thought that later on they get a little involved. But when Breeze came out still in the janitor costume, I was a little kind of nonplussed and like, okay, what are they doing here? Where are they going with this? Are they going with like, is he still in deep cover? Is the Fashion Police thing gone too far? And then when he finally got in the match, they did some excellent short pratfalls with the mop, which were excellently timed, perfectly placed. There was no extra theatrics. It was just being very sharp. I really liked it. And then everybody was chanting for the mop, which the Usos then broke the mop. Which I think was supposed to get them heat, but everybody just lost interest in the Usos right away. The mop is already way over in regards to, if you're looking for some face heat, the mop is over, and the Usos are still not there. I don't know. Nobody cares.
Welcome to WWE, where we can, in fact, get inanimate objects more over than the axe.
I think that's more to do with Fashion Police than anything else. Then there's a bit where Tyler Breeze, I can't remember, was it a super kick or a slam? I don't know what it is. But anyway, Tyler Breeze was down, and Uso went up to the top rope and was going to do like a big splash or an elbow drop or something.
Probably a splash.
And very slowly, just fast enough, Tyler Breeze rolled gently towards the other corner, getting out of the way. So the Uso would get down and go to across the ring to the other side, in which case Breeze would start rolling slowly to the other side, which I thought was, I've certainly not seen anything like that before, or don't remember it if it happened. And I thought that was fantastic. Eventually, Breeze gets kicked out, makes the tag, something happens, and he goes under the ring and changes his garb, comes out in like a granny walker with a granny walker and a dress on and a wig, I think.
Yep.
And some sunglasses, and eventually he gets back in the ring. They immediately kick the cane or the walker out of his hand. Again, Tyler Breeze gets an inanimate object over, and the Usos can't even get a believable bit of heat. And then he tears the dress off and he throws it, supposedly, or he thought he was throwing it into the crowd, and it nailed JBL right in the head. And that sparked an evening of Fire Bradshaw chants. This match had everything. Oh man, I thought that the work rate in the match was great. Everything in the match was great. I would have liked to see. Honestly, Breeze stole the whole thing. I would have liked to see more Fandango. but they didn't have time because, you know, WWE doesn't do that sort of thing. Yeah, I enjoyed the crap out of the match. I would have loved to see the Fashion Police get the win, but if this is what I can expect from the rest of their feud, I'm on board. I don't care. Just keep the Usos off the mic.
To be clear, my problem with this, I love this match as a comedy match, and it was fantastic. My problem is comparing, for example, New Day to the Fashion Police, is that the Fashion Police have been treated as a comedy gimmick as well as a job squad gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my thing. I would have preferred to see something a little more serious, let me get behind them a bit, and then kind of reintroduce the comedy. But if I'm alone on that, then I'm alone on that, and that's perfectly fine. Because I did enjoy the match. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was the funniest thing on the night. But that's just my thought.
I think what it is, and you can look at my TeamSpeak icon, but Toru Yano is over as hell in Japan. He's pretty much strictly a comedy guy, and they put the tag belt on him. I mean, they put it.
But they have him win. They have him win enough in like a couple of high-profile ones that it keeps him relevant, even though he's a comedy act.
Yeah, and that's something that the WWE is extremely bad at. So,
anyways, so we had fun with that, and that got us back on track. And then we had Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin, and I liked it. I enjoyed it.
This was see, up until this point, I thought that the UK title match was the best worked match of the year in WWE, and now I can't decide if it's this one or the title match.
I would still go with the title match, but this was good.
This was real good. They had new hyped up Baron Corbin music. It's new and louder and more, I think. I have written down here, another excellently worked match. It's like they hired professionals and let them work to their strengths or something.
Indeed, Sami Zayn, and I am fully giving 100% credit to Sami Zayn. And if you hear any backstage stories, you know why. You know 100% why. He has a reputation in this regard, and I think that works perfectly with Baron Corbin. I thought it worked really well with Braun Strowman. It's working well with Corbin again here, and even more so with Corbin because it's a bit more back and forth, whereas the Strowman stuff was one-sided.
And that's also exactly why they had him be the debut match for Nakamura.
Yes, that too. That, and he works a style that I think also works with it as well. The key thing here, though, is we got over a lot of the Baron Corbin character, which is something he has struggled with before. Like, he's emoting more, he's frustrated, he's showing that he is a bit of a bully. He's confused when Sami won't stay down. He's angry when Sami won't stay down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more anger than his just base level anger, because he is a character who is always angry, if we're being honest. But it increases when it needs to. And this was also great. And Baron Corbin has a lot of technical flaws as a wrestler. And that's not a knock on the guy. He's still pretty green. And he's not been in the business for a really long time. And I think he will get better. And he has been getting better. But Sami Zayn broke it down to an absolute level that he could completely, believably, and with pizzazz do. And that's Paul Heyman 101. Hide the weaknesses, accentuate the strengths.
Yep. I have another note here that is if they're smart, they'll do an I Quit match at the next pay-per-view.
I'd be behind that 100%.
Because you could beat Sami Zayn down until he can't even answer, and then Corbin just kind of like, I win, because he can't even respond.
He can't respond. He can't quit if he wanted to.
Yeah, and there's no way that the Sami Zayn character should ever say I quit. So you'd completely win on all levels.
Anything else you want to add about this match?
Nope, not really. I just think that Sami Zayn did an excellent job I don't think there was any outside influence on this match other than Sammy and Baron. I still don't get why people think that Baron's supposed to be the next top heel. Well, not people. It's I can see him being a good heel, but apparently they're going to put the belt on him this year. They're going to let him have a title run and see what's up. I would have done it this evening, not what actually happened. But,
yeah.
That's about it.
Then we had the Welcoming Committee versus Charlotte, Flair, Naomi, Becky Lynch. It was okay, I guess. The kind of interestingly, two members of the match didn't really do a lot of work.
Yeah,
that was
wasn't involved at all.
Charlotte was. It was Becky more that was on the apron a lot. And of course, Tamina didn't do really any work at all, which it makes me think that maybe she's not fully recovered from her injury, or that she hasn't recovered to complete fitness, because and you earlier when we were discussing this said, well, maybe it's just because she's not any good. And this is not a Tamina's a great worker or anything, but Carmella is not a noticeably better worker, and they had her work a lot.
They would probably like to push the slim blonde chick if they could.
She's
not any good.
Not very good.
I have notes.
Good on the mic. She's good at being a bitch on the mic. I'll give her that. But in the ring, not so much.
The problem is that Ellsworth's even better than her. So, fuck. Why would you bother?
Perhaps. All right. Grace us with your notes.
I have notes. Note number 1, hearing Brett's intro is still the best of all things. Every time that kind of guitar squeal goes off, I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. The problem is that it's usually Natalya on the other end of it. And they don't let her wrestle really well, so whatever.
They also really liked, they took the last name away from her. It's Natalya, and then slip in Natalya Hart. I'm like, she's not. Yeah. That's not her name, and we all know that that's not her name. So stop trying.
Yep. Following notes: state of Becky's hair mate, combined with state of Naomi's hair mate.
I actually bizarrely liked Becky's hair. Like normally I'd be very anti that, but I kind of was down.
An interesting Celtic mohawk thing.
I was kind of down for it. I might be alone on that.
It was definitely eye-catching. It was off-putting at first, but the longer it went and the more rassled up her hairstyle got, it was kind of cool. Naomi's kicks are still straight trash.
Oh, garbage.
And her 5 seconds of trying to get a glow, glow, glow chant was laughable. Carmella seems to have the makings of a good heel manager.
I'd be really interested in her as a manager.
Yeah, well, she was, and then they thought she could wrestle, and now they're wrong. So, time to move on.
You know what? Her matches with Nikki Bella actually weren't that bad. Which might which might mean that I'm giving Nikki Bella credit for the first time ever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this was not very good. I guess it's as good a match as you can possibly have.
This match was, I thought, pretty good with when Charlotte and Natty were working, though, because those two can work together. But every other combination was pretty trash.
Yeah, I was actually, you know what? In the beginning of the match, I was kind of pumped because they brought Becky out first, then they brought out Charlotte, and when they got in the ring together, they did a little handshake, elbow tap combo thing. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be real good. If they have chemistry like this, then there's no way that this match can't be really good, and it wasn't any good.
Yeah, it was not great. It's not great.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather see him feud than tag.
Natty makes Becky tap out to the sharpshooter, which
was contrived as hell. I'm really tired of that. I've got her legs. Hey, everybody in the crowd, I've got her legs. Do you see at home that I've got her legs? Can I move on to Can I move on to the next stage of the move? Cool. I stuck my leg between her legs. Hey, everybody. And it just God, just do it.
I'm also not really a fan of Becky tapping out because she's the closest thing they have to a female Sami Zayn in a way.
Yeah. Just because she got red hair.
No, the character is this fiery, won't give up type of fighter, basically, and to have her tap out relatively quickly to the sharpshooter.
Well, you can't have the champ tap out, and you can't have Charlotte tap out because she's really the champ, even though she doesn't get the belt.
Then don't have her tap out. Have her get pinned.
Yeah.
I could deal with her getting pinned.
Yep, but they're not smart like you and me.
So that was bad. I do like that Natty got the win instead of Carmella, because maybe it suggests that Natty's going to be pushed towards the title match, which that would be a good match. Like, that's a fine match. I'm not a big fan of Naomi, but she's athletic enough that she can do some things, and Natty's really good in the ring. And Naomi versus Carmella would have caused me to vomit profusely, I guess.
Yeah, I'd really like to be a bigger fan of Natalya. It's just that she's never booked correctly.
She's been booked like crap since day one.
Yeah.
They make fun of her for being, basically throughout her time in WWE, she's been made fun of having a gas gimmick. She's been made fun of for being fat.
Which is fucking stupid.
Never really had any kind of consistent momentum going. There's the fact that they try very desperately to play up her connection with Brett, and they honestly seem kind of awkward with one another. I don't think the connection is actually even really there.
No.
I mean, it's her uncle. I'm sure there's love, there's a connection or whatever, but
they always seem to make her a big fan rather than a family member.
Yeah, and that kind of hurts it as well. It also hurts when they try to do the Hart comparisons. I'm like, but she comes off as like a fan, and she's a Neidhart, not a Hart. Like she's a Hart. She is Brett's sister's daughter and everything, but she's the Anvil's kid, not Brett's kid. And I think WWE really needs to, in a nutshell, get over it.
Yep.
Anyway,
for that match.
Yeah, I mean, better program than if Carmella got the win, but state of the heel side of the SmackDown roster.
Correct.
Both men and women, by the way, because we're gonna get to the men's side. Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. This was good, but could have been a ton better. That's kind of the thing.
My interest in the match was really waning after the not very good tag match we just had. After having 2 really damn good matches in a row, possibly 3, depending on your point. Well, no, I mean 3 out of 4 really good matches in a row, and then this, and then the tag match, and then this. I really wasn't interested, and they didn't do anything to really interest me up until Owens hit the top rope Fisherman's Buster. Oh, okay.
Oh, that was fantastic. Oh.
That was the best of all things. I do have one note here, or 2 notes combined into one. Is like, I'm really, really tired of everybody in the WWE having a bad leg match. Like, every single match seems to have somebody with a bad leg. I've seen at least 9 of them in the last 2 weeks. Somebody's got a bad leg, got a bad knee, got a bad ankle, got a bad calf muscle, got a bad... Great. Everybody's fucking crippled in the WWE. Fantastic. But at least Owens and Styles managed to make that part of the actual match, part of the finish. They actually told a story. Amazing. They didn't just cripple somebody. They didn't have Nakamura with a bad knee for 6 months for no reason. They didn't just have, like, who else has had bad legs lately? I can't even think.
Well, to be honest, if we just go back to the Takeover card, Bobby Roode was selling the leg in his match with Tommy.
Everybody's got just a horrible crippling injury that precludes them from actually having a match, and thus nobody's having good matches, and thus I don't particularly care to watch your matches.
Well, frankly, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about on 205 the other week with Austin Aries, with the whole, why is he wrestling if his knee is like really terrible? Kind of a similar thing here, where there's an oversell to the body parts at this point. Like, where is your medical staff?
Yeah, Nakamura had a bad leg for like 6 months, and what's his nut Tyler Black had a bad leg for 8 months, and then got it crippled, and they had to rebuild it from cyborg parts.
Yeah, well, no,
he still can't walk, but he had a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, the Seth Rollins one is pretty bad because they sold that knee so hard, and then right after WrestleMania, it's like, oh, fine, it's not how ligaments work.
It's Raw after WrestleMania. He's still a little tender on it, but it's perfectly fine. And then the Raw after the next week, he was just completely healthy.
Yeah, it kind of
stop having bad legs. That's
like
all.
The thing is like you can totally do a bad leg story arc, but let it be the bad leg story arc, not one of 6 going currently.
Yeah, I don't need half the card to be bad legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or bad shoulders. Or bad. Can we just have some matches?
That would be nice.
Have some matches where people aren't kayfabe hurt.
It's also, if you pay close attention to MMA, and I know not everyone does, but there's a solid percentage of the crowd that does. And you see fighters fight injured all the time, and you don't particularly know it.
Exactly.
Like every so often they'll have like it's like he seemed a little slow tonight or something, but until he confirms that he had like a bad knee or a bad back or whatever, you don't realize it. Like Chaz Skelly on one of the recent UFC cards fought with a broken arm for most of the fight. You didn't know it until it was done. And don't get me wrong, you can build up the apprehension, but it's overdone. It's overdone. We have too many of these storylines going.
Yeah.
Anyways, the finish was good. I really liked it. Basically, Styles and Owens moved Styles' leg into the I guess monitor opening on the announce desk so that it would fall into it, and he would get stuck there, and Owens could run back to the ring, get the count out victory. Really nice, really good actually. I like the finish. I liked a couple of high spots in the match. The Fisherman's Buster from up top was good. The cannonball to the leg was good. I like that. Couple of steelizers and stuff in there as well. A lot of good like high spots, but like the match itself felt disjointed and didn't have a constant build to it.
There's a lot of rest holds and just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, I kind of tuned out during a little bit of it, which with AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, it just should not happen.
No,
really, all there is to it.
After, I thought they were planning this out and booking this in such a way that they knew that they were going to have a couple matches that weren't very good. So they're trying to interject really good matches between those matches. Like I expected, we'll get to Harper Rowan next, but I expected that not to be very good. I expected the 6-woman tag match to be not very good, and was then underwhelmed on top of that. So I figured, we'll throw Owen Styles in the middle. Actually, I didn't realize that Harper and Rowan were still to come, and I don't know why they're at that spot on the card between title matches.
It's that death spot that they put someone in for the main event.
But it's G Bill 2 wieners.
All right, let's get on to Harper Rowan.
Surprisingly good.
No, well, I wouldn't even say surprisingly good. It was better than I expected it to be, but I thought it would be okay. Luke Harper is one of the best big men in WWE right now. He's a really good worker. He's surprisingly athletic. He knows how to tell a story. And I'm still not sure I'm buying him as a face. I feel he's more a heel. But
I think they should switch up a gimmick, put a mask on him. He could be La Barba Grande.
La Barba Grande. Oh. It's
Mas Rapido.
It's like you're a genius. It's like you're writing for WWE right now.
They should give me my own federation somewhere in the Southpaw region.
Somewhere in that Southpaw region, right down there in the south end of it.
Woo, tangy.
maybe around the Memphis crispy chicken.
Indeed. So I have my note here is, why is this on second to last after a title match? And what I should have realized is that actually not after. It actually wasn't after 2 title matches, but you had a champion in 2 straight matches here, and then you put on Harper versus Rowan. Shouldn't this have been the lead-off match? And then you could have put Ziggler versus Nakamura in here.
That probably would have made more sense.
A lot more sense,
huh? Yeah, I would have gone that route.
What else do I have here? Why is this on second to last after title match? Are they worried that the world title match will suck ass compared to everything else tonight? They might be right.
They were right.
Fire Bradshaw chant for the third time tonight. There was also a Fire Bradshaw chant in the Sami Zayn Baron Corbin match because they got near the desk and people noticed Bradshaw and started chanting again. My final note is I don't understand what that match was supposed to be. Really good work by Rowan.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the best they can do with Luke Harper leaving the Wyatt family, which, by the way, why do we draft Bray over to SmackDown or over to Raw if we desperately need a main event heel on SmackDown and putting the belt on frickin' Orton? What the hell?
And also, why hasn't he made any contact with Braun Strowman while he's been there?
Well, they kind of closed the door on that back at Survivor Series with the.
But they're both
Strowman kind of
against Reigns.
I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying there's something. But
don't make no sense.
It's a good match, and I hope they do something with both these guys because I honestly feel probably higher on Rowan than I ever have. I've always thought he was good at nonverbal communication. I
think you know what they could be. They could be the tweener tag team. If they could somehow their characters come to some sort of resolution, and
it really shouldn't be that hard because I mean the feud is basically Harper left the Wyatt family, but he left because of Orton, and he was right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even really know why there's a feud here.
I don't understand. Other than Rowan's character is supposed to be childlike, which I'm actually really enjoying. Like every time he gets like childlike glee out of something, or he is playing it like he's an adult toddler, and it's really good to watch. As long as he doesn't start pooping in a bag,
I'm not really down with that.
But you could have like Harper's obviously like if they were two people on the autism spectrum, you could have Harper being the higher functioning of the two and kind of corralling Rowan, but then Rowan does, what Rowan does to people, and they could be a really, really interesting tag team, and then they could go after Randy Orton, or they could do whatever, and then you've got this tag team in the mix when they need more tag teams to kind of fill things out, but then you've got a tag team in the mix that you can do anything you want with. I think it would be really good.
Mm-hmm. I would be down for that. I would buy that. Like I said, good. This is one of the better big man matches you're going to see. There was kind of the interesting bit with Rowan kind of getting hulked up off of his mask.
That was cool.
Which was very interesting.
That was Vader all over again.
And then also kind of plays into what we were talking about with the autism spectrum idea almost. Without going full Eugene, please do not do that.
I really think they could have done the Eugene thing. Well, obviously they could have done the Eugene thing better, but they didn't really convince people. What I understood that to be was that he was supposed to be this super wrestler because he's a super fan. But it turned out that he was just an idiot kid that happened to get lucky wins all the time. So, whatever. I thought the Eugene thing could have been something really awesome, and it turned out to be just insulting.
WWE in general doesn't handle things like this. Like we were talking about the Muhammad Hassan thing as well, which we'll probably touch on actually in the main event. It's kind of the same thing. It's like you have something that actually can work. It's not necessarily fully politically correct, but it can work if handled delicately. And then you screw it up.
Well, yeah. Good job, Vince. It's not like you're 90 or anything. That's the problem is Vince is getting to that age. You can't take him out in public. He's going to use the N-word. He's going to say colored people a lot. He's probably going to... He might even say abo. I don't know. It's getting to the point in his life where you need to keep him at home, away from the phone.
Anyways, main event, Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. We were not looking forward to this to start with.
I have a particularly pertinent note which says guy with short push and no heat versus guy that could make a match against classic Stone Cold look boring.
I'm not as anti-Orton as you. I am not an Orton fan.
He's sub, all right.
He can do things for me at times.
Yeah, he can end a match really quickly. That's always good.
But against... Okay, here's the problem with Jinder Mahal. My opinion, not fact, obviously. But, one, you're pushing him on very short notice. He went from jobber tag team with Rusev, where he was the jobber. Like Rusev was not the jobber, let's be clear.
Handsome Rusev. Sorry.
And gave him a cheating win over Sami Zayn in a multi-man match to get a title shot. And then had him go full heel and adopt a new character, which involved him being a millionaire playboy, Indian war god type deal.
Yep.
And him cutting promos about how you just don't like me because... Basically, you don't like me because I'm brown. The Muhammad Hassan gimmick, to be honest.
Yep.
The difference is when Muhammad Hassan did it, at least at the start, he won fair matches. He went out there, and he took some white jobber like Scotty 2 Hotty, and he beat the piss out of him, and won. And then you booed. And he would have some level of justification to say, you don't like me because I'm brown. Jinder has no justification to his character. You don't like me because I'm brown, well, 2 other brown guys are going to help me win this match, and they're going to interfere in matches I'm not even in. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. And I'm never going to really seem like a threat on my own. Also, I did a lot of steroids, and the only reason we're doing this is because we want to get into India.
Yep.
Which, side note, why is he not a face if you're trying to present a hero to the Indian people to cheer for?
You just don't understand Indian culture, sir. To be a bad guy is actually I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. I also don't know a bunch about Indian culture.
Anyways, rant.
Good food, though.
Rant largely over at this point, but it will continue when we get to the end of the match.
Yeah, I have notes about the match itself. Pre-match, Jatinder keeps. I actually wrote down Jatinder. The match, the people noted in this match are Maballs versus Borton. Jatinder keeps screaming at the cameras, and the violent Man of Peace gimmick is very, very bad. Before the match, Orton Pearl Harbors the Asian. Awkward. Quote by Bradshaw, Jinder is getting guzzled by Orton right now.
That's quote of the night, probably.
Yeah. Superplex took roughly 9 years to pull off. And then I have this running kind of mental thing going, I really have to pee. Please end it now. No interference yet. Must be 20 minutes left at least. Kill me now. Ooh, draping DDT. Maybe only 15 minutes. Super tantrum, warning everybody in the next 12 zip codes about an incoming RKO out of nowhere. Orton botches release suplex onto the announce table immediately looks chagrined.
That was the highlight of the match.
That was the best. Shitty predictable finish. I should have gone and taken the leak. I feel so much better. Why is this still going on? No one cares. The crowd is literally dead. They put up slow-mo replays of crowd reactions to Mahal as Mahal wins. They all look bored and ready to go home. Bradshaw's been screaming Maharaja for the last 30 minutes straight, and it's really annoying.
Pretty much. The end result is Jinder Mahal is WWE champion. Oh my god.
They literally put up a slow-mo reaction of a kid who rolled his eyes and turned to his parents. Like, can we go home?
Yeah. Oh man, this is the worst. We looked at the lineage of the title, and you'd have to go back to '99 when Vince McMahon held the title to get a worse champion.
Yep.
By any metric,
Mm-hmm.
Like we now have a guy who's not good on the mic, really, not particularly comfortable with his character, quite possibly because
it's not his character.
It's not his character. He's I mean, he's Indian, but he's not really Indian.
He yells pretty good. I'll give him that. He emotes. He projects.
Yeah, the heat when he yells is fine, but the content of his promos suck. The delivery sucks. The logic sucks. It has no heat.
If I remember correctly, even when they counted the 1, 2, 3, the crowd didn't count with him and was immediately pretty quiet. As like, yeah, he won. Okay.
Also, just as a side note, never match Randy Orton up with someone you're trying to get it over as a heel for the first time, really, because Randy Orton is a terrible face. We don't really cheer him. Like, that's kind of the problem.
Correct.
Like the greatest thing about this, outside of the botched release suplex in this entire feud, was Randy Orton going, "See, Jinder Mahal is an ass," and me just going, "Well, it would take one to know one."
Mm-hmm.
You know. Oh, so Backlash was not good.
It had, I would say, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 matches. I'm gonna give the Dillinger versus English match like half a good match. So 3 solid matches on the card out of
I'd
7.
go with 4 solid matches because I'd give Owens and Styles a half, Dillinger and English a half, and then the Usos versus Breezango, Zayn and Corbin, and Rowan and Harper were they were good matches.
Yeah, it wasn't. It had some matches that were really, really good, and then the rest were okay at best.
Yeah, it's not good, and really, honestly, it really points out the complete lack of depth on the SmackDown roster just as a whole.
Incoming Jeff.
That wasn't even a problem back in the old school brand split when we didn't really have this level of problem.
Nope. Oh, I really expected Jeff to just jump down in this room.
Because, I mean, we got Jinder Mahal in a main event. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan is the last match of the night. We got Tamina involved in what is the main female feud, as well as Carmella.
Yeah.
And then we have Tyler Breeze and Fandango. And to be clear, I really like Tyler Breeze and Fandango. They're really good workers. I want to see them do better. It's just that their booking for the last, frankly, their entire career has led them to just, it's kind of sad that they're in a tag team title match on pay-per-view.
The thing of it is that you're probably not going to get what you want out of those guys, because I think that they are going to put the titles on them, and not too far in the distant future, probably pretty quickly, maybe even on SmackDown. Just based on the reaction they got from the crowd, Vince might go, put the belts on Fandango and that other kid. So it may be that they get the titles relatively quickly or in kind of a medium distant future. The problem is that I don't think, being uncreative, they probably won't do anything other than wrestle the Usos for a little while and then eventually beat them. So you won't get any kind of wins stack up. You'll just have them lose to the Usos a couple times before beating them, or just beat them the next time they have a match.
Yeah. Anyways, that was Backlash, and well,
like Badlash.
We'll see you with our Raw review probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully I feel better then.
No, we're gonna watch all of the Super Juniors right now in the next 5 minutes. And then, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm not as opposed to this as you probably think.
All right. Super Juniors.
And we're out.